tutajaribu tuone.
The repeat polls were ordered following a petition.
Right, and well, to talk and have a discussion regarding the party primaries, which came to an end, and of course we do have deadlines for IEBC looming. We have Kevin Osido, who is a County Governance Watch, from County Governance Watch. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. Now, we've concluded that the party primaries are as good as done.
Sure.
And from your observation, despite the fact that there's been quite those disorganization, late starts, complaints, left, right, and center, do you think that the people who are going to be representing the parties come August 8th are the people that were selected by the electorate?
I think something very fundamental that comes up is election preparedness and political party spaces. And of course, the place of the members of these political parties. Because if you look at, even as the primaries are coming to an end, there are lots of complaints. And a majority of those who thought that they were not given a safe landing are actually out there saying they are going to run as independent candidates. And in my view, I really have to say that as the citizenry, rather as voters, we must therefore begin the process of critically looking at who are we giving the opportunity to be able to serve us. Because some of the names that have been nominated, and I really have to hope that there's still going to be space for the citizens to be able even to hold the leaders not only accountable, but to also vet them before IEBC vets, because this is the first stage where once the names have already been submitted to IEBC, there is of course going to be that space where we have to critically analyze and look at the integrity standards of some of these people. In fact, as an organization that is County Governance Watch, we have intentions to go to court to try and block some of these people who've actually gone through the nominations from vying in the August polls, because they have serious dents in their integrity. And of course, even the process had serious issues that I believe that the political parties will of course have an opportunity to learn from, and therefore be able to look at, even if someone is going to run as independent candidate, but what weight do you carry? Are we going to deliver? Are you going to deliver the services that the people expect? Or is it just going to be a space for you to be able to show yourself?
And what is likely to be the impact of that? Should you go to court and block some of the nominees based on maybe the integrity issues or whatever issues that you're going to bring on board? What's the impact of that? Because these are, well, people who are viewed to have been selected by the people. Does that mean we go back to the polls? And again, we have a deadline here.
Not necessarily, because, for instance, you look at different parties are going to submit names. So once, say, a candidate from an X party has been blocked, or rather locked, the end result is that the person who therefore is your opponent takes over. And so, and again, you look at in our country, judicial processes take such a long time. And that, given the timelines that IEBC has already indicated, is really going to affect a lot of processes that IEBC is supposed to be doing. So it will really go back to the individual to determine whether you want to fight in court or you want to pull up, especially if you know that the integrity and national values questions around you are real things, and the evidence that is out there is one that will really be able to compel and convince the jury to just block you out of running. Because I think as a country and as Kenyans, we are beginning to move to the level where we are looking at issue-based politics and not politics of personality. And we believe that this is going to be one of those steps that is actually going to anchor us to the next level of looking at, is leadership going to be leadership of service delivery, or is it going to be leadership of selfless, let me say selfish interest? Because that is what we are seeing even in these political party primaries that are just ending today.
All right, now, based on the party primaries that are just, coming to an end, the fact that we have very many independent candidates likely to run this time round, is that, in your view, a good thing? Is it an opening of the democratic space in Kenya?
Of course, I would give it a two-sided response. One is in the sense that, of course, we are beginning to open our democratic space. But you note that, in my view, from a governance perspective, I will link politics and governance and say that the opportunity that we have had, given our constitution and other legal frameworks, is for us to be able to critically interrogate our systems. And part of these systems, which determine our governance, which then lead towards service delivery, is the political parties. I will tell you for a fact that those who are running for, as independent candidates, have a serious toll of work to do. Because in Kenya, again, our history is not that of independent candidacy. We are, of course, mosaically carved in manners of our ethnic tribes and, of course, personalities. So if, say, for instance, a good example would be Kisumu County, where two of the governors are saying, rather governor candidates are saying they want to run on independent candidates. If the party leader of ODM goes to Kisumu, and this is not new because even in 2013 he went there more than 4 times just to ensure that his party had the foothold and that the people can be able to still resonate and that his voice is able to push them to go out there and vote. And if he goes there and says, our candidate is so and so, and you know what this means, of course the people will forget about the independent candidates. And what still is, if as an independent candidate you've not been able to endear yourself to the voters, because again you will require lots of resources because campaigns in Kenya is very expensive. So you will require lots of resources to be able to just go out there and to be, regardless of the amount of work that you have done. But as long as, again, the zoning and the mappings of our political parties, where X zones, rather X places are considered to be belonging to these particular parties. So I would say that independent candidacy is a good thing. It's really opening up the political space and, of course, expanding our democratic processes and spaces. But I think for 2017 elections, independent candidates may not really give us a kind of picture that we're looking at. And look at 2013, we only had one independent candidate from, I think, Makueni County, who made it into the 11th parliament. And that still presents serious issues in terms of governance experts and, of course, political party analysts.
And
really
of course,
it
also weighs in on what would happen in Parliament should there be so many independent candidates. On which side do they fall and how do they make decisions?
Precisely.
But also, maybe an area that possibly you could let us know what you think, and this is in the area of civic education. How well are we doing as a country in terms of civic education? Could it be the reason why we have a larger turnout, if the reports we get from the different political parties is anything to go by, on the nominations, which normally is very low-key, very, held in the background. Nobody even knows it's happening. Not many people know it's happening. But this time round, we seem to have a larger number of people coming out.
I would not accredit the high turnout of voters to civic education. Because, again, you note that the civic education space is slowly shrinking, given the kind of comments that we saw His Excellency the President make a few weeks back in terms of Kenyans know how to vote. You don't have to come here and tell them how to vote. But, Michael, if you look at some of the wards, for example, in Nairobi, we had over 523 plus people vying as MCAs. And in one ward, you have over 52. For example, in Migori, you had a ward like... I have some of the statistics here. But what this means is that the people came out given the number of aspirants. It was not, I wouldn't accredit it to
civic education. It was not more information that was out there.
It was about the people who are running and our closeness to these people.
Mobilizing people.
Mobilization of voters. And so that is really something that, again, that IEBC and political parties must begin to look at. Because if this trend is kept, then planning for elections and planning for political party primaries is going to be something unprecedented, because this time around we had much more people coming out compared to what we saw happening in 2013. But again, in 2013, we didn't have as many people. And especially for those who are below 35, we saw a lot of young people coming out to be able to vie. And youth is accredited with, of course, mobilization, prowess, and ability to just go out there and get people to come and do what they want to do. And so, again, the space of civic education is still very precedented, because as we move towards the August 8th elections, your first question was very important in the sense that what kind of people are we putting in office? And there is a gap that civic education must be able to come out and fill. People need to know what is the role of an MCA. Why are even senators running to be MCAs? That's something funny. Why are MPs now members of National Assembly? Many of them, of course, staying there, but senators running as governors. People need to be informed about the roles of these offices and what it means to service delivery and what it means to the citizen.
And ultimately what to expect out of them once they get into office. Because
Precisely.
That is why